2, 1, go! Hey. That's it.
Extend welcome, and I've lost him. Where's Councillor Sam?
Over here.
Oh, you know. I've lost him already. Welcome, the Mayor, for taking the time out to come up today. It means a lot to me to be able to show you what we're doing here on Ward 23. So thank you, and welcome to everybody. As I said, you've been part of this, whether you supported me from the sidelines, listened to me at work talking about it, constantly, or whether you've run with me, jumped in the lake with me, cycled, you've all been part of it. So I really do appreciate it, and thank you to the hospital charity for helping me and supporting me through the fundraising journey as well. You've probably heard this story a couple of times, but this is really the reason why I've done what I wanted to do out on the ward. My first kind of thing that sparked me to do this was, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, if you're on holiday, and not known where you are, and it takes you a couple of minutes just to adjust, find out, work out where you are. You're on holiday, the lamp shade might be on a different side of the bed. You finally work out where you are and it all is okay. For our patients on all of our wards, but especially here, they're not able to reorientate themselves. That unfamiliarity is a constant threat to them. They're really vulnerable. And I wanted to create an atmosphere on the ward that was more friendly, more reassuring, just to help put them at ease slightly, give them a distraction. So then I came up with the idea, if I've got to raise some money, how am I going to do that? I need to put myself out of my comfort zone as much as my patients put themselves out of their comfort zone. So I decided, and I didn't really know what it meant at the time, but 2,018 kilometres in 2018 seemed like a good idea, and that was running and cycling. Then I worked out what that meant. That was basically a marathon in distance every week, and completed that by the end of the year. And I put myself out of my comfort zones. I did marathons, triathlons, getting in a lake. But each time it was just putting myself out of comfort zone, and what kept me going was knowing the patients here, the famous artist. And it was Rob's story when he came to see us initially when we were interviewing, and he said that his son Judah was in hospital, and how much the artwork he appreciated, just moving into a side room where there was a jungle and a monkey. I appreciated looking at that rather than looking at a crash trolley or everything else that looked so clinical. And I knew that he would completely get what I wanted to get out of that artwork. When we started, I didn't really have a vision. It was kind of an idea, wanted reassurance, wanted kind of artwork that went round the ward but didn't know. And we collaborated with staff on the ward, the patients, friends and family, lots of you here today, about what's important on the ward, but also in Milton Keynes. And the idea developed, and we've got 9 sections that go around the ward, each of which are part of Milton Keynes that are important and tell a story. You can appreciate the artwork as a whole, or you can go into the finer detail. Pretty much and that they are really kind of Christian. Very much the story.
That's what I was doing inside.
So very much one of the activity involved in Milton Keynes, very much featuring the regular runners, they're all represented on here. The Peace Engagements are very famous with the monitoring, and that's the hospice there, yeah. So we were lucky enough to look after a patient who lived in the hospice while we came to the hospice, so we represented together. Yeah.
There's a competition for how many enemies can you spot.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And again, when we were talking to patients, it was very much a feature that they were very proud of things. And again, providing that reassurance, able to talk about it quite freely and nicely. Here we are, Ward 23. So we were in the day room just now, and this is so like it represents and talk to the patients like what the journey they've been on. So they'll go downstairs to the theatre, they look after the ward, they'll go and see the physios and practice different steps, so we're able to talk through the part of their journey as well. And then some of the staff feature. Round two. The canal, Stony Stratford, the cock and ball story, the patient really proud of being told that story. She's growing up in Stony. And it was the canal that made the business start. Backwards in time. So the old train and then we started in April, here and now. Robots going around as well.
I was there on the
Yes, they are, aren't they? The driverless cars. Hello, welcome to Ward 23 and artwork. Should we start at the beginning?
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, so if we start perhaps right at the beginning when you first came to the ward, because we decided that we had no idea what we were doing, did we?
So when I got the brief, it was a very open-ended brief, just about trying to create some kind of memory walk for the patients on the ward. We didn't really know where we were going to go with that. So what we did was we came in and I did 3 workshops with staff, I sat with patients, and we chatted just about Milton Keynes. We got as many stories as we could on Milton Keynes. And that left us with pages and pages of ideas and people and buildings, and so we narrowed it down to what we worked out. We'd have 8 panels of Milton Keynes to work with. So we narrowed it down to 8 locations. And then I went away, 8 locations of Milton Keynes and 9 as a finish. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I went away and I just drew up a really rough sketch of this idea of the 8, which we stuck in the corridor, in the staff corridor, and left it for them for 2 weeks.
Or like just annotations, people
put
post-it notes on.
Ideas they had, once they saw it. We realised that once they saw it as a picture, people had much more ideas, the memories. Oh, when I go to that park, this is what I do. So I came back 2 weeks later to find the drawing covered in post-it notes, which we then broke down into each of our 8 Milton Keynes segments, and that gave us our 8 stories to work on. So we started with this great big open-ended idea of something to do with Milton Keynes, and after 3 weeks we ended up with this very specific set of 8 stories we wanted to tell. And we were sort of almost there then, but there was kind of something missing at that point. We always knew that we wanted the mural to have some kind of interactive quality to it, and standing exactly where we are now. There's a blank wall behind us there at the time, and we knew that we had 2 spare walls that we could use. So we decided on the far wall that we would put on Buckingham Palace and make that our very big celebratory end moment. As Naomi went to the garden party, all our work on the fundraising, it seemed a really apt end to the wall, which left us with this spare wall that we were standing in front of. And we had a sort of big epiphany moment where we realised that let's make it an activity wall. And that was the moment we realised the whole thing came together. It pulled everything in, and we realised that this wall would allow people to then really interact with the mural. It was no longer just a set of nice pictures. It had purpose.
Your work is very, like the style of it, what I say, really nice.
No, it's
but kind of previously lots of work you've done been very busy, so you had to just tone that down slightly, but then that fitted nicely, kind of that Where's Wally theme fitted really nicely with activities, so then we could point patients in directions to
and I
do
did
things.
every time they went they might have seen something they didn't see.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the activity wall, that idea just kept growing. Once we had that, as it tied everything, then suddenly the activity wall was going to have activities, it then had cards, it's then got prints, it's then got colouring in, it might end up with puzzles, it's going to, and I think that part of this will keep growing. I think it's,
Oh no. How many canal boats can you see? Can you find the dinosaur?
Actually, park, honestly, just down the road from the hospital. I think this is something that we always were going to have.
We were doing this,
always going to be there. And I think the real key thing for me was that we look after a lot of patients that previously worked at Bletchley Park, and to see and hear and tell stories of playing around the duck pond was a common one that really kind of builds that a bit of reassurance for them. They're really orientated, they're in it, they know what's going on.
Woburn Abbey was one of my favourite to draw, one that I love drawing architecture anyway, it's one of my favourites, but it had so much for me to work with, from the deer park to the building itself to the safari park. This one really lent itself to lots of interactivity, so much to find. And the way I work and the way my brain works is that Woburn Abbey Deer Park has 9 different species of deer, and there are 9 species of deer. It's my favourite fact of the moment. But that's what I liked about Woburn Abbey, and it gave me so much to work with, and so many things we could add in here to make this a really interactive walk.